free content for the coach, by the coach, raising the bar every week. Speak for Your Mind podcast is sponsored by Powerlift Equipment. High quality equipment, unique design, and multifunctional training capabilities. Powerlift are innovators for the strength and conditioning field. Hey everybody, this is Zach Houghton with Strength Coach Select, and this is the Speed for Your Mind podcast, episode number 14. Today on the show we have Chris Gray. He's a senior performance specialist, also an assistant for the Cincinnati Bengals. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. I appreciate you having me on today. I really, really do. It's an honor, man. I've listened to the first 13, and I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're ringing in 2018 for us too. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's the way to be.
First one for 2018. So, like I said, I told you before we started, we're gonna start changing up the format. For the Speed for Your Mind podcast. I think, I think having conversations and just getting to know people and learning what they do is a hell of a lot more valuable than sitting down and asking you questions. I think people learn from both, but I think people learn more from coaches when they're speaking freely rather than speaking rehearsed. So just tell us about your past, man. What did you do before you where you're at now, and how did you get there, and how did you build yourself up to where you're at now?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'll get going. Try to go 500 words or less here for the past, because it's, man, like all of us here in the field, it can get crazy. But from New York originally, went to Ithaca College and played football at Ithaca College, which is, for those who not know, it's a higher end Division III football school, I would tell, or I don't want to say powerhouse anymore, but with Whitewater and now at Union. But went to school there and had an opportunity to stick around and get a one-year accelerated master's in phys ed, health ed, and exercise science. So I stayed around, was GA for a year, offensive line GA. Spent my free time studying as much as I could, strength conditioning wise, and then had an opportunity to go be an offensive line coach and a strength coach at Hartwick College, which is Oneonta, New York, little middle of nowhere. Great college town, man, great party town, but shoot, it's a little hole in the wall. And about 9-10 months later, the way the field works, the defensive coordinator at Ithaca got a job at a school that had never had football before, never had a strength coach, never had any resemblance of that kind of athletic department, and offered me a job to be offensive line coach and head strength coach there. Went down to Misericordia for about 4.5 years, and kind of like we touched on before, I had really sought some different opportunities throughout those 4 years to really kind of take the next step in the career. But it took me that third year. I went down to like a combine, if you will, like a recruiting camp at Villanova University, and I met up with a gentleman by the name of Jay Cox, and honestly just kind of bartered my way into getting some Division I experience. Said, hey, listen, I'll give you all my vacation days, every minute of time off I had at Misericordia. I want to come down here and work for you for free, just so I can kind of break into the field and break into that Division I level. He obliged and said, hey, listen, come on down. I'll give you a floor to sleep on, and we'll go from there. So spent a little bit of time at Villanova, and fortunately enough, kind of broke through the ceiling and got an opportunity to work for Joe Walker and his staff in Cincinnati for the last 2 years that Coach Tabarula was there. A year ago, almost to the day, had an opportunity to stay in the general area, which is often rare in our field. Right. But stay in the general area and come on with an organization by the name of Ignition APG, and it was a blessing, man. It really was. It's allowed me to be a little bit of everything. It's given me an opportunity to work with very, very high-end athletes and expand my horizon from not just the college sector, but also NFL all the way down to high school. And that's kind of what I was after, is well balancing that resume a little bit more.
So let's go back for a second and talk about your time at Misericordia, right? Mm-hmm. I think that there's so many coaches out there that have been in the situation that you were in at Misericordia. I know that I was at the Division III level as a director for 2.5 years. So I get that. I think a lot of people don't know the stressors of that type of job. You know what I mean? And kind of things that come along with it. And like I'll say my piece is, like no one understands what those coaches are doing unless they've done it, right? There's a big difference between, like there's head guys at that Division II level, but they're dealing with scholarship athletes, right? So it's a little bit different in that end, where they have the same type of job, but they're dealing with scholarship athletes. So it's different on that end. So I look at the Division III end, where like we had 17 sports at Moravian when I was there, and you train every single one of them. And you have an intern, maybe you have someone that's helping you, but really at the end of the day, you're doing everything for every single sport. You're sending out summer packets for every single sport. You're sending out, you're training, you're meeting with every single coach on staff. And while they seem to appreciate it, right, it's still a big job, and you have to learn a lot.
You ain't lying.
So talk about your time as Misericordia, kind of like what that job entails, and if you can give, I tell everybody that comes on, don't sugarcoat nothing. I want everybody to know what kind of jobs those jobs are, because everybody's like, I want to be a head guy, right? Everybody says, I want to do this and I want to do that. Well, they want to do it until they step foot in a job like that, and they've got to take on a lot of hats.
I couldn't have summed it up any better. Honestly, you hit a lot of the main talking points from being a Division III guy and or a head guy. And I think the reality is, and I kind of learned this early, and it helped being both on the football staff as a line coach and also a head strength coach, because you get to see both sides of it. But at the end of the day, the wins and losses fall next to the head coach's name. And in that same breath, for a strength coach, all the good, all the bad falls next to your name as well. So if kids are getting injured, if things are happening both for you and against you, you're the one taking the brunt of that on. And you really have to be cognizant of who you're working with, the direction you want to go, how you're going about handling your day-to-day progressions with each and everybody. Because, and you said it, you're not dealing with scholarship kids, so you're going to have an assortment of kids that have different training ages, different abilities, and what are you ultimately trying to do with them?
Right.
You may only see a team once a week. You might only see a team for the springtime, just because of the way the schedule falls, because of what that coach wants. And you can fight tooth and nail for it, but it don't matter. At the end of the day, you still think you got to do your best, do right by the kids. As long as you're doing right by the kids, and I think that looks different no matter where you go, but we got into this field for that reason. I truly believe it. Obviously, I think we love what we do and the science behind it. But if you're not doing it for the kids, the student athletes, to get people better, then that's something I think is the real, in my head, no matter if you're an assistant or head guy, you really got to check yourself about.
Yeah. So tell me, from there you moved and you were, an assistant at UC, right, under the Thornville staff, and then obviously, before that you were at Villanova, and then you're now working with professional athletes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you tell the people that are listening, what is it like to make that transition from a high caliber Division I football program, right, to working with the professional athletes? 'Cause this is something I'm curious about.
Yeah.
I've never worked with a professional team, professional athletes, in terms of as in a team setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm curious because everything you hear is, it's obviously drastically different. There's the needs are obviously very, very different according to a professional athlete versus an 18-year-old, 19-year-old freshman, right?
Sure.
So, can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's different, and in that same breath, it's the same. And I said this really when I started recruiting on the college football side of things. I said, in this lifetime, in this profession, and just in general, you want to surround yourself with two types of people. You want to surround yourself with a person that has similar morals, values, dreams, goals, visions as you do, and obviously that's going to be a little fluid. It's always going to be a little bit you're going to have very close in values or close in morals or close in dreams. You know, as long as you're in the ballpark with that one, I think you'll go very far. And then the second type of person you want to surround yourself with is someone that's going to make you better. Someone that's going to bring you to a place you couldn't get to alone. And I think that no matter what level you work at, i.e. high school, college, or professional, the golden rule applies. Treat people the way you want to be treated and let them know, and you must truly, genuinely care for them and their body before anything else.
Right.
They're trusting you with their most prized possession. And when they realize that you're there and you truly want them to have the best year of their career each and every year, then you're going to build up that trust, that equity that you get at the college level, the high school level, no matter what. And then you can show them how much you know. You got to show them how much you care before you show them how much you know. And when you do that, you go far. I think that, in a general synopsis, is a big piece for me that I've learned. But the golden rule applies no matter what field you're in, no matter what you want to do or where you want to go.
Writing this down right now. Show them how much show them how much you care before you show them how much you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, listen. With that being said, you still got to know. You got to know yourself.
You got to know your shit, right?
You can't be like, man, I love you, and then not be able to tell them how to do or execute on this exercise or this technique.
Right. Or tell them how important shit is for their body, right? And
no doubt. But that to me is that's withstood the test of the time over the last 9 years of coaching. Is that when you show people that you genuinely care about them as a person, as an athlete, as a student, no matter what their line of work, no matter what their goals are, they realize how much you care and they're going to trust you and build that equity. And then you can really get them to try things, push them, and bring them to a new level you couldn't get to on by themselves.
All right. How's the training and like tempo of things compared to the college setting at then to the professional level? You know, so I know some guys are the same. Some guys let guys, kind of free flow into the weight room. Some guys don't. They like the team setting. You know, how is it?
It's awesome. It's structured. It's very organized, and honestly, it's really, really good. It's really good. We come in. There's a soft tissue mobility segment we have. Open this thing up, and then we really get into attacking 6 major movements of the push, pull, squat, hinge, carry, rotate, and that turns into our 3-station warm up for big skill and skill. And then we're kind of diving into the whole deal, and it's cranked up music and intense work like any other place you've probably been to before, and I think that no matter where you are, and it was like this in Cincinnati and Villanova and even Misericordia and Hartwick, it's the intensity of your training is for the most part the limiting factor of what you get out of it.
Right.
We can write the same darn program and give it to similar athletes, but what they choose to put in is what they're going to get out. I've always joked I can give kids an NFL program or a Barney and Friends program, and you put more into one, you're going to get more out of that.
How do the athletes at the professional level differ from the college? What's the biggest thing you've seen?
You just think they've got an unbelievable skill set and an unbelievable love for the game. I think those are the two that I wasn't sure. I didn't even realize it, But every minute of every practice, they're locked in and they know what's going on. They see it through and through, and they're true professionals. Now they're in a different setting, and I think that's something to be taken away. But they're professionals. That's their job to go execute their skill set and their knowledge base at the highest level, just like you and me.
Right.
We're paid and entrusted to go do the same darn thing.
Right. So what about attitude wise? What do you think the biggest difference is between your college athletes when you're working at UC and then the ones you're working at the professional level now? Same type of deal. They're just professionals all the time, or they still got their moments. What's your take on it?
I think like anywhere you go, whether high school, collegiate, or professional, you're going to have a majority of guys. And again, I think it goes back to the golden rule of how you've treated them and what you've invested in them. And it's honestly, if you love them, they'll love you and they'll give you everything back.
Right.
And that goes without saying at any level. And Obviously, like anywhere, your success will dictate a little bit of, the focus and the attention and the drive and the desire. But what was great about this, and I think you've seen it here in, the last few weeks of the NFL season, or last weeks of the college season, is that they're still out there playing and going all out. It's still a profession, it's still their way of life, and that's the thing that I respect the heck out of them for. And they show up and go to work. That's it in a nutshell.
Right. So talk about what you want to do moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are your plans? What's the next step for you? And what are your ultimate goals?
Shoot, that's a great question. I mean, it could change every darn day, and I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity here at Ignition, and that to me it's allowed me to broaden my coaching spectrum. I think if you can manage athletes at the highest level when we have our NFL vets come in, and if you can truly teach and coach and cue Tommy, who's 14 years old, who's never touched a weight before, doesn't know how to move his body, and if you can start to build those areas even more so, and you said it best about the Division III, you can do some things at the Division III level, it'll carry over to a lot of other places.
Right.
And I think if you can coach and cue at the youngest level and teach kids that have no idea how to move their body, you can do it at the highest level. If you can truly manage at the high-end collegiate level and professional level and truly manage people and truly build that respect and that trust and that equity, that will carry on all the way down to the 7th and 8th graders. And I think those two things that I love about this job is that it broadened my spectrum as far as coaching ability, because it's put me in situations that I just haven't been around.
Right.
And I guess the follow-up to that is where do I want to go? I would love the ability to impact as many people as possible. Okay? And it might be a cop-out answer, but I'm not done looking at professional options. I'm not done looking at private sector options. I'm not done looking at high school or collegiate options. And I think and you know this, and everybody listening knows this, sometimes it's got to be what's best for you and your family at that time. And other times it's going to be what you truly want and feel like you have the opportunity to pour into as many people as possible. And it's always going to be fluid and fluctuating, but if the right opportunity comes around where you can really pour into and give back to as many people as possible, like the position I'm in now, you got to take it. And that's kind of what was my decision was last year at this time, coming to Ignition, was the opportunity to be around all these different partnerships that we have, all these different athletes, students, professionals. Where else do you get an opportunity to do that and have a quality of life on the side that, not worried about traveling to Tulsa, on Tuesday night and then spend the hotel night playing on a Wednesday, turn around on a Wednesday night or Thursday morning, flying to, Carolina and getting that. There's a piece to it also that goes into the family aspect in the home, and hey, can I have a quality of life and be able to pour in and do what I love to as many people as possible.
Right. So let me ask you this. So I was thinking about this while you were saying that. There's some coaches say that that they think that the strength coaches can make a larger impact at certain levels.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at let's say the high school level, then the Division III, Division II, Division I professional, right? Do you think that there's a different degree of impact from the strength coach at each one of those levels, that a coach can do more at one than he or she can do it than another?
I think the impact and is similar, but I think it also is dependent on the time that you get with the athlete. And I think that's where just the look is different. And I think you're going to make an impact on people just because of who you are, regardless of the level, regardless of anything else. If you're a good, genuine person, you can pour into somebody passing them on the street. But I think what really, gives the nod to sometimes the college level, I want to say, just because of the time that you spend around people the time that you have traveling with them. I know obviously following to care hours and everything else, but you're just around a little bit more than, say, your traditional high school strength coach. But with that being said, I think the high school strength coach may have a little bit greater opportunity to mold an individual for the rest of their life because of where they're at currently.
Right.
Yeah, they've got a more malleable, I don't know if that's the right word for this situation, but base and foundation where they can build on, because they may not have a ton of strength training experience. They may not have a ton of experience just interacting with people, being around, building confidence. There's a lot more to it. But I think it looks different at every level, but I think you can pour in a similar amount everywhere. I think the big discrepancy or the big question mark or the X variable is how much time are you getting with those people.
Right. Do you think that, I've heard some coaches say too, and I kind of agree with them, is, those first 2 years in college, you're spending a lot of time with those kids, and I think that they're extremely moldable. You know what I mean? And if you can really work with those kids, because what I've seen is the first 2 years of college, you really see by the time they're juniors, they usually are who they're going to be.
Yep.
If they didn't change the first 2 years, by the time they're juniors, they are who they're going to be. But I think that a strength coach in college, those first couple of years that you're working with an athlete, have a tremendous impact on those kids. Versus, you tell me, by the time they get to that professional level, like you said, they're professionals. So in terms of, changing traits, helping to change personality and stuff like that, do you think there's a big difference that your impact in that type of area at the college level versus the professional?
I think it probably gets the gap probably gets smaller, or the window gets smaller as they get older. I think that's just probably the natural progression, if you will, of just life in general. However, and there might be people listening to this, I still think you can fight the good fight. I really do. I still think that no matter whether you have a 37-year-old offensive lineman that's, seen 13, 14 years in the league and on his way out, or a 13-year-old 8th grader that's coming up and, just wants to play football for the first time, I still think you can make an impact on their life. I really do. And I think you got to do it the right way and be true to who you are as a coach. But what I said before, I go back to it. You got to show them how much you care before you show them how much you know. And when you show people that you care, you'll get more out of them in return. Your ROI is a lot higher when they truly, genuinely believe that you're all in.
Right. My last thing for you is there's some advice that you can give. Is Taylor out there? What's his name? Troy. No. If there's some advice that you can give to coaches, it doesn't have to be young coaches. It can be any coach. What is some advice you can give to them as they move along here in this next year and really try and make strides for themselves?
So I think the first thing I'd tell them is to genuinely rethink and focus on why they got into what they want, or why they're doing what they're doing. If you got in for the true right reasons, that you want to coach every moment, if you want to treat people the right way, if you truly want to be around and help grow and mold and be a role model for no matter what group of people you work for, that's the big one. I think just genuinely taking a step back look at who you are, who you're trying to be. This is not playing for, hey, I'm a Division I coach, hey, I work in the NFL, hey, I work with a high school kid. This is legacy all the time. Are you trying to be great? Are you trying to be great to your kids or anybody else that you're around? And it's surround yourself with good people, similar morals, values, dreams, goals, and visions, and surround yourself with people that are going to take you to a place that you couldn't get to. So that second piece is start visiting as much people as you can. Start connecting with as much people as possible. So this right here, this podcast, how you and I met, we probably did cross paths years ago and didn't even think twice about it.
Right.
And through social media, through driving somewhere and sleeping on floors and volunteering your time, however you go about getting it.
Right.
Genuinely go out and give somebody your time without looking for that, hey, what are you going to give me in return?
Right. Yeah.
I'm here to learn. I'm here to grow. I'm here to get out and go meet people, get out and go see things. Because the reality is, well, how you want to coach, how you're going to coach is going to be dynamically different than everybody else you meet. There'll be similarities, there'll be differences, but you're still going to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the more you know, the better you can be when pouring into any group of athletes that you work with.
For sure. No, that's great stuff, man. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome. I appreciate it very much. I really, really do.
All right, man. Have a great day.
You too.